And recording.
Hello, it's Pertwee Fan here. I thought I'd do a vlog a little bit differently. I'm in a car, driving. Well, obviously you know that. I'm going to talk about the Sylvester McCoy era. This was one that I actually grew up with after Colin Baker, so I remember watching his 3 seasons, 12 stories, vividly when they were on television. Talk about Sylvester McCoy. Of course, he's just in the film called The Hobbit, playing, I think, Radagast the Brown is the character?
Yes.
So I thought this would be an appropriate time to talk about his era. Now, some stupid reviewer in a newspaper recently said Sylvester McCoy was one of the lamest doctors. I totally disagree. He was quirky, witty, and towards the end quite dark. Now then, he started, of course, his first story was Time in the Rani. Not many people like his first season, but I enjoyed it.
I like it.
I love Time in the Rani, it's good fun. I like the tea traps. The Doctor's very quirky in it, you know, he's recovering from regeneration. The wonderful Kate O'Mara playing the Rani, one of the best female Doctor Who villains ever. It's a very unique season, I think, season 24. You've got stories like Paradise Towers. What did you think of Paradise Towers, by the way?
I must admit, it wasn't my favourite story out of all of them. I think Sylvester McCoy's first season, he's very underrated. But Paradise Towers, I think, falters quite a bit because I think there's a definite degree of campness which they're trying to overcome.
Yes.
More than anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can live with it.
And then we had, of course, Delta and the Bannerman, which featured Ken Dodd playing the Tollmaster.
Now that was my favourite story out of that season.
It was an amazing mixture of dark aspects to the story and lighter aspects as well. It was an interesting mix. And then, of course, we had Dragonfire.
Which was absolutely phenomenal. And then we had the introduction of Ace.
We did.
Oh, just to jot back to Delta and the Bannerman.
Yes.
Did you know that's the first story that featured the question mark umbrella?
You're absolutely right.
I am absolutely right, yes.
Yes.
Anyway, moving on to Dragonfire.
Dragonfire. At last, after 3,000 years, the Dragonfire shall be mine. Is what Kane says, doesn't
probably
he?
Some of the best, the best cliffhanger ever.
Yes.
What can we say about that? Cliffhanger.
What can we say about it?
Well, apart from the fact that, owing to editorial reasons, Sylvester McCoy just seems to shuffle his way down a sheer wall of ice and gets himself stuck.
I know.
And for no apparent reason. But apparently the reason was that there was a path and he couldn't go one way or the other, so he had to try and go down, and something went wrong. And it just didn't come out that way, so we get the most pointless cliffhanger.
We did.
Well, bless it. But I think, out of all of them, it's got to be the darkest story of that era, because they're, I suppose they're changing. What's the word I'm looking for? They're trying to have a regime shufti.
Yes. Yes, and of course it was Bonnie Langford's last story.
It was, yes.
Bonnie Langford's last story.
Which was a really disjointed way of leaving, because there wasn't actually any reason to leave. She just suddenly decided, okay, I'm going to go now.
Well, I think, that's true of Bonnie Langford and the character as well, isn't it?
But there was nothing in the story to indicate this was going to be her last story.
No, there wasn't.
She didn't seem fed up or anything. She just, all of a sudden.
It suddenly happened at the end, like it was Leela. We weren't expecting that, really, were we?
Yeah, it's just fact that you want to leave. Why? You're not being pushed out. I think Ace and Mel would have been quite a ridiculously brilliant team-up.
Imagine them in season 25.
Can you imagine Mel and Ace in Remembrance of the Daleks?
That'd be amazing.
Which was the next story in the line.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because when they do the surveys of favourite Doctor Who stories, that seems to come out very high. It's very highly regarded.
It is highly regarded.
What is it? For Matthew? What about the story do you like? What do you think it is? Why is it so popular? Why do you like it? Why does every Doctor Who fan like it?
It's season 25, so it's the 25th anniversary. So there's an awful lot of wonderful. It's a nice nod to the fans because it was setting. You know, you got Totter's Lane, London
Totter's Lane.
1963. So there's an awful lot of First Doctor in jokes, if you like.
I think they spelt the surname Foreman wrong, didn't they? On the
yeah, I think
gates
so.
to the junkyard. I think they got it wrong, but never mind.
I mean, it was an all right story. I must admit, not my favourite Dalek story.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, my favourite Dalek story has always been on record as Planet.
Planet of the Daleks?
Yeah, but
it's one of my very favourites. I adore it.
It's got a good soundtrack. It's a really well-made story.
Oh yeah.
But I think I like it more for the culture nods.
Oh,
and all the little in-jokes. I mean, there's my favourite one's the Quatermass nod.
Oh,
when the two lady scientists are talking in the cafe.
Yes.
And the little blonde one says, "I wish Bernard was here," and said, "British Rocket Group's got its own problems."
That's right.
And that was Bernard Quatermass.
That's right.
Yeah.
Can I just mention Terry Malloy as Davros? Terry called it the Texas barbecue, which with the Emperor Dalek, we found out it was Davros in episode 4.
Yeah.
Davros had some wonderful lines.
The Emperor Dalek, which was the mum roll in space.
Yes. And can I just also say Michael Sheard?
Oh,
Sheard as the headmaster. Of course, he'd played, I think, a teacher or a headmaster in Grange Hill, so it's very appropriate role
I think you've put the nail on it. My favourite aspect of Remembrance was Sheardy.
Shame he was killed off in episode 2, wasn't
he? He was, yes, but he was a lovely man. That's a whole different vlog.
That's a different vlog.
Got to do a vlog about Sheardy another time, yeah.
So the Happiness Patrol, a very sort of colourful story. The TARDIS gets painted pink. We have
such wonderful,
the Bertie Bassett type Candyman, the villain,
dark
who answers
satire.
The phone. Hello, Candyman.
Yes.
But very dark satire as well. You know,
dark
sweets
satire
that can kill you.
Right, it's more
dark
stuff. It's the dark satire of the Thatcher government.
It is.
And I thought
absolutely
there's something. But the thing is, you wouldn't think that the BBC would actually opt into that because the Beeb are financed and run by the establishment.
Exactly.
They support the establishment.
That's right.
And there's Doctor Who taking the most blatant stab at it ever.
I know. But they got away with it. I think
there's a lot you can get away with because, you know, how seriously can you take a show that has a 6-foot Bertie Bassett?
I know.
Yeah, so I think the government can sort of laugh it off.
Exactly.
Mind you, you're talking about the same channel and probably the same people who did Yes Minister, and they don't get away with that.
Yes.
So I think Thatcher saw the funny side of it.
I'm sure she did. Silver Nemesis.
Oh,
a lot of fans don't like this story, and I've been given a hard time by fans for liking it so much.
There's nothing wrong with it per se. I just think that it's too fast. There's a lot happening.
There is. All the different elements needed 4 episodes, like the Cybermen, the Nazis, Lady Painfort and Richard. The wonderful double acts they had.
Wonderful. There's so much wonderful stuff going on. The only snag is that there's not a fat lot explaining. It's just like you're half expected to know what's going on.
Yes.
And so what's all this business about? Lady Painfort and the Doctor, and how the hell are we supposed to know all about that?
Yes.
And the Nemesis statue. A brilliant idea.
Oh,
but it's a case of, I think that's something that they should have done the story before that, and actually have Silver Nemesis, the actual Nemesis statue.
Yes.
Lady Painfort, the Roundheads. That would have been Boston. But I can't.
I think Lady Painfort had some fantastic lines. All things shall soon be mine. Past, present, and future. And the wonderful was it Dolores Gray, the American tourist, who gives them a lift. That's one of my favourite sequence of scenes in Doctor Who ever.
3 days to get, 2 days to get to London. Well, no, I left about 40 minutes ago.
I know. Yeah, the wonderful David Banks, of course, played the cyber leader.
He was excellent.
He was the first Doctor Who celebrity I ever met. Yeah. He was in Panto in Aladdin in 1990. I was 10 at the time, and that was And then a few minutes after I met him, I met Sylvester McCoy backstage.
Yeah. Did you know David Banks once played the Doctor?
I do. He was understudying for John Pertwee in the 1989 stage play Ultimate Adventure.
See, this man knows
and
stuff.
John Pertwee came on the stage once. He wasn't well. He apologised to the audience, and then David had to come on with his sort of Greenpeace T-shirt.
Greenpeace T-shirt. Yeah, I tell you what,
suit and the hat.
When I first met David Banks, I swear I tried desperately to redo that costume. because that's what Elle wants to be to. But anyway, moving on swiftly.
Moving on, the greatest, and there's lots of fun for the family.
And the greatest show in the galaxy. Now,
yeah, the story begins with that wonderful song.
If I had to pick a favourite story out of this season, it would most definitely, hands down, greatest show. Hands on the wheel, please. You're driving. Yeah, it would be greatest show in the galaxy. It was phenomenal,
wasn't it?
It was so good. And the gods of Ragnarok, which I always thought looked remarkably like Sutekh from the Pyramids of Mars.
There is a similarity.
So there's a lovely idea that, you know, and the idea that the Doctor's fighting all these underhanded little battles, and the scene where he's entertaining the gods with all his magic tricks, and that is all Sylvester McCoy, all those tricks, it's all him.
But it's so the Doctor as well.
Yeah, but it's back to his Ken Campbell roadshow days.
It is.
And I must admit, I could watch those scenes over and over and over again, and they are so good. I mean, it was Mark Ayres did the soundtrack for the first time.
Yes, he did.
Which I've got and I love, and just the whole climax of episode 4, I love that story so much.
I think the other thing about this story is I think there was a strike at the BBC and the studios weren't available. But JNT, the producer, very cleverly, had some tents erected, I think, in the car park of TV Centre and filmed stuff in there. And it actually worked really well for
if you're going to film a circus, you might as well film it at a circus, you know. So you can't be. I thought that was.
It made it very authentic.
It did.
It did. The sound.
It did. It was lovely.
It didn't feel like it was in a studio. You really felt you were in a tent, which you were.
Yeah, exactly. Which you were, exactly. And
great sense of realism.
And you got Captain Cook, and probably one of those.
Very scary.
That was probably
when she got possessed.
Bloody terrifying stuff for a Sylvester McCoy story.
It really was.
Yeah, when she did that transformation, I saw that when I was very, very young, and that's the first time the Sylvester McCoy story scared the living daylights out of me. Because she was so
scary.
It was
people's
so
eyes going green, which happens a lot in Sylvester stories.
People say, you know, I'm frightened of clowns. It's not the clowns. The clowns are actually there's a lovely idea that all the clowns are androids, so you can suspend your disbelief on that one.
I just found them creepy though.
Yeah. What else? It was naff. It was boring. There wasn't even any tigers.
That's what she said.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm going to move on now to one of my favourite seasons ever of Doctor
26.
Who. I love every single story.
Battlefield
is probably my favourite Sylvester McCoy story.
Yes.
Return of Nicholas Courtney in a unit story. The wonderful female villain Morgaine.
Yes, played by Jean Marsh as well.
Played by the wonderful
Jean Marsh. Yes. So it's got a top drawer cast in this one.
Has.
You know. It did. You know, it was a modern day unit story as well, which was. So there's a lot of
the Russian unit soldiers as well.
Yes,
and the female brigadier.
Oh, Bambera,
played by the wonderful Angela Bruce.
We love Bambera.
We do. Wasn't she terrific?
Oh, she was.
And the brigadier's wife as well.
Doris. We finally saw Doris.
Yeah, who was mentioned in Planet of the Spiders.
And we're thinking, who's Doris? And then we finally meet.
We get to meet Doris.
Oh, that
was amazing.
Makes me smile every time, because you think someone's actually sat down and said, no, they've actually got this right.
And the wonderful scene at the end when they're in the Brigadier's garden.
Yes. And the return of Bessie.
The wonderful return of Bessie.
The return of Bessie. I don't care who you are. Anybody who watches Battlefield will watch they'll watch the scene of Bessie being unfolded.
Yes.
And everybody will either smile or, in unison with the Doctor, will go, Bessie!
Bessie! It was a wonderful moment.
It was a lovely, warm feeling. I mean,
it did give you a warm feeling.
I know it's only a car, but Bessie became a character in her own right.
It did, absolutely. We've just stopped some traffic lights, by the
way. we have just stopped in the middle of the road,
No, so Battlefield was great, and then we had, what did we have next? Ghostlight.
Ghostlight, yes.
Ghostlight. What's that about? Do you understand the plot? Because I don't.
Do you know what? I got it.
You got it?
I got it. If you don't, there's not a fat lot to get. It's an alien invasion. It's just done really, really differently.
It is. If you watch the commentary on the DVD,
the commentary makes a hell of a lot more sense.
It explains everything.
It does a hell of a more sense.
It does.
So it's a good costume romp. And we've got
the BBC does that so well, don't they?
So well.
And the beautiful Victorian interior of the house.
We got more the Dark Doctor coming out in Sylvester.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
atmospheric. I mean, I don't
Wonderfully
I think
atmospheric.
I think we can say for overall of season 26 that they were all good.
Yes.
There's certain silly moments, in Ghostlight, but that is soon put to bed when we have the Curse of Fenric.
Oh, the Curse of
Now,
Fenric.
I tell you what, this was the first of the season 26s I ever saw.
Was it?
Very quickly became my ultimate favourite Sylvester McCoy story of all
It's the
time.
perfect story, isn't it?
It's so. Again, they got it so right. I mean,
the wonderful sense of good versus evil.
yeah,
Very strongly.
Fenric. I'll tell you what. There should be a league table of villains out there.
Yes.
Yeah, the Master. I wouldn't even put the Master on this league table because he sort of speaks for himself.
He does.
Yeah, but my all-time top villain has got to be Sutek. But coming at a very close second was Fenric.
Fenric.
Because he was. What can you say? The guy was just badass.
He was.
And glowing green eyes, and the soundtrack, and a soundtrack,
and the long fingernails.
Yeah, the soundtrack that just shivers you to your
it
core.
does, doesn't it?
And I love anything to do with Viking and Norse mythology. Anyway, so it sat perfectly for me.
Yes. And what's the name of the actor that played the vicar? Nicholas. I can't think of his surname.
Yeah, he did Just a Bit, didn't he?
He did. The perfect vicar, anyway.
Nicholas Parsons.
Nicholas Parsons.
Obviously, he was a lovely character, but they all played them with such conviction as well.
They did.
Such beautiful writing. Ian Briggston, he did, and we got that. I tell you, if you've never seen The Curse of Fenric, the twist at the end of Curse of Fenric about who is the baby.
Yes.
Right, it will knock you sideways.
Yes, it will. Quite emotional stuff for Doctor Who, which we didn't see often then.
If The Curse of Fenric was actually done as a modern Doctor Who story, if it was done now,
awesome.
If they kept exactly the same script but did it, unveiled it to a modern audience, they'd never shut up about it. It would knock them sideways.
Do you know in episode 4 or one of the episodes there was a Super Ted?
There was the little baby
in the baby's pram. How did that get there?
Well, it was a Bobby's little Super Ted. I know, because I had a knitted Super Ted too.
Oh, you did?
I did, yes. I was a child of Super Ted. And then moving swiftly on to the end.
Can I just say, Anthony Ainley? This is one of his best stories ever as the Master, because he didn't overact the Master. JNT wasn't behind the scenes saying go bigger, which is what he always used to tell Ant.
Yeah.
Anthony Ainley was perfect as the Master and had a beautiful new costume as well. Survival, what do you make of it?
Oh, Survival, mate. Well, see, one of the first Doctor Who stories I ever saw fully, because I was born into Trial of the Time, and also I remember Trial of the Time. But I remember watching it, and we had the earliest video recorders, so we recorded it. I watched it time and time and time and again. And it's one of those stories I know backwards and forwards. We had Hale and Pace, and absolutely wonderful, modern, weird feeling to a story.
Yes.
But they didn't know that Doctor Who was going to end.
Oh no.
But it's quite fortuitous that the way that it did end, it's sort of like it was all premeditated, but it wasn't. It was.
The speech at the end.
The speech at the end. I think we should try and do the speech to close this video. And start off. Yes, there are worlds out there. The sky is burning.
Yes.
With the rivers sleep. With the city sleep and the rivers dream.
Somewhere there's danger.
Somewhere there's
injustice.
Somewhere there's injustice. Somewhere else the tea is getting cold.
Come on, Ace.
We have work to do.
And before we close, Sylvester came back briefly to hand over to Paul McGann in the 1996 TV movie.
Don't forget Dimensions in Time in 94.
And Dimensions in Time in 93.
And
Search Out Science in 1990, the BBC educational programme.
This is in the wilderness years, and the Seventh Doctor lived on in the DWM comics.
He does.
And the new adventure books.
And now the Big Finish plays.
Big Finish and BBV, and
He came back for the 2003 Dead Ringers sketch.
Yes.
In costume. And he might come back next year, hopefully, in Doctor Who. So for the 50th anniversary.
So Sylvester McCoy.
Sylvester, wherever you are, here's to you.
Here's to you.
I can't raise a glass, but
We'll do that later.
We'll do that later. So, from Pertwee Fan, I hope you've enjoyed our discussion of the Sylvester McCoy era.
Yes.
A little bit different in a car. We've just gone past Stockport, if you're wondering where we are. All right then, from Matthew and myself, bye.
Yeah, bye-bye, chaps.
Take care.